新共和国パイロットです。今日もマイクロソフトフライトシミュレーターの公式集会に参加していきたいと思います。今日の飛行空機は、フランス領のポリネシアというところですね。太平洋の絶海の孤島みたいなところと、やべえ、いい天気ですね。はい、じゃあみんな離陸していくので、この流れに身を任せていきます。
It's not nearby, that's for sure.
It's very
sorry. That was factual S. I apologize.
Had to give you a rim shot for that one.
I approve that.
Rotates positive rates. And as you notice here, I'm just going to show you my external camera. I am on an amphib, but it has retractable gear. So I do have to go positive rate gear up. And you can see that the wheels on my floats will actually retract, and then the front wheels will also retract into the floats.
Continue for race departure.
All right, I am airborne.
おお、いっぱいいますね。
I'm going to set my cruise altitude to 1,500 as we make our way around. Oh, actually, we got a black screen. Oh, you're restarting. Okay.
Yes.
All right. It's all good. All
Right
good.
with you.
Forder is now rolling, beginning his takeoff in the de Havilland Beaver.
I'm just going to pull over for a second to make sure that my flight plan's working. How's the sound
go back to my
now?
point of view then.
Because sound should be better now. I've got it routed
Extra
correctly.
145, please acknowledge.
Okay, here we go. Let's go back to Forder's point of view. Let's do an audio check. This is CD test 1 2 1 2. All right, factual, you go.
This is factual. Test 1 2. Test 1 2.
お、いっぱい
Forward on a 1 2 3.
なんか見どころがありますぜ。
Oh, you one-upped up us and went to 3. All right, chat's saying it's good now. All right, great. Thanks for fixing that, Forder, and thanks, chat, for pointing that out.
And
All
I
right,
am
well,
on
going
the
back to
go.
my POV for a sec, look at all you wonderful pilots, all in your amphib and float planes. I love to see it. As we've got
Extra
the
145,
South
please
Pacific
acknowledge.
sunset over to my 7 o'clock position. Boy, does that look beautiful, the sun setting over the water. This is going to be very idyllic and fantastic looking flight with World Update 13 Oceania loaded in. And there's the front view of my happy little X-Cub. Ooh, I've got a helicopter. I got a Bell 407 flying off to my 5 o'clock position. Look at that. Not sure. I mean, they do make helicopters on floats,
Extra
but the
145, did you hear my
407
last
flight sim
transmission?
is not amphib equipped. So you will not be able to land on water.
Extra 145,
Factual,
leaving
how
my
are you doing? Are you
airspace
airborne now?
frequency change
I'm
approved.
airborne now, yes.
All right, very good. Ooh, look at this. We have got Smoksa or Smoksa, I'm not sure how to say your username, but flying the H4 Hercules, the Spruce Goose. You know, I did say amphibious planes were welcome. That was not what I would expect a lot of people to have taken, but excellent choice. I'd love to see it.
Extra 145 ATC services terminated.
All
Good
right,
day.
Porter, you can let me know when you're airborne, and we can.
I'm airborne.
Oh, you are.
And
okay.
on my
So
way. Yep.
Take a look at your POV then.
Go. Looking great. And you were picking a what, a 1500 altitude for this
Yeah,
so far, right?
1500 should be fine.
Until we get to some of the taller areas. And going around the island will be pretty much near sea level, so it will be, if you look to your right, everybody will be seeing a whole lot of mountains. For those who want to take a shortcut and catch up to us, go a little higher.
Yeah.
Speaking from experience.
Yeah, we're just gonna fly a nice, gentle, clockwise route around Tahiti and just see the island as we encircle it. Again, love that sunset off in the distance, and love to see so many other pilots flying along with us on Community Fly-In Friday. If you did miss the early announcement, this is an open event. Everyone is welcome to join us, whether you're on PC, Xbox, Xbox Cloud Gaming, doesn't matter your skill level, doesn't matter your experience level, everyone can fly along on Community Fly-In Friday. Just type !fly in the chat for all the details.
Elkin David, I see in the chat, says we
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about that later. That was
Okay.
something myself, Factual, and Forder were discussing
壮大
before
だ。
we went live when we were doing our mic checks earlier. When we get to Bora Bora, we're going to do a contest. And we'll let you know. Sorry, I got afraid. Not a giveaway contest. A quiz for the chat. Matt DeLuca says Tahiti is a great vacation spot. Look for packages. So I actually also looked into this last week when I knew World Update 13 was coming. Airfare to Tahiti or Bora Bora is not that bad. Round-trip airfare is $1,500 Canadian dollars for me to get there, which is, you know, pretty reasonable for a vacation, for economy class seat, for a vacation flight. It's the hotels that get you, especially like in my case. If I was going to Bora Bora, it would probably be like a once-in-a-lifetime trip. I probably would not go to Bora Bora multiple times, so I would want to do it right, which means staying at one of the famous floating cabana huts. And yeah, I looked into the price of those.
Would you say prohibitive?
Yeah,
Prohibitive. That's a good word.
Depending on how
Yeah,
wealthy you
prohibitive.
are. It's out of my budget. I'll put it that way.
Look how they build all their houses up on the hill like that. Reminds me of Italy. A whole lot of like mountainside houses.
Oh yeah.
I mean, can you imagine the view? Every one of those houses on the brochure would say, "Great ocean view," because they all have it.
Porter, I see you're sporting the Harbor Air livery on your Beaver.
Gotta do that. Right out of Vancouver.
Anyone in the Vancouver, British Columbia area, if you go down to the waterfront in BC and Vancouver, you can see Harbor Air seaplanes, beavers, and twin otters taking off and landing all the time. It's pretty fun if you're into plane spotting. It's a good way to spend an afternoon. Just get yourself a coffee or a hot chocolate, whatever kind of warm drink you like. Just go down to the Vancouver waterfront and watch the seaplanes take off and land.
Every time I'm there in business, that's where I head out. As soon as I'm out of the classroom, that's where I go.
You could just say, and seaplanes take off and land.
Thank you, Porter.
I'm gonna have to keep my finger near that rim shot button.
Yep. That's the risk when you have Factual on stream with you. Great turnout today. I guess everyone wants to check out some of the scenery in the new world update, so love to see all these other planes joining our fly-in. Now, as we fly around Tahiti, I always get reminded of, like, just as you can see on my point of view right there, this reminds me of one of the early scenes in Jurassic Park when they're arriving by helicopter to the island. Doesn't that scenery remind anyone else of that, or is it just me? I don't think it's just
No,
me.
that's true. Yeah, I had that feeling too when I checked it out at first. That's it.
It's not coincidental though, because at least the first Jurassic Park film, it was shot in Hawaii on the island of Kauai, which is part of Polynesia. And so the climate and the geography ecology of Hawaii is going to be very similar to French Polynesia. I think it was just the first one though that was shot in Hawaii. Subsequent the sequels they filmed elsewhere.
Gregory says, thanks a lot. Now that song is stuck in my head.
You know, there are far worse songs to get stuck in your head than a John Williams film score.
That is true. It could be like, you know, the "Don't Worry, Be Happy" song.
Oh, thanks for that.
Don't worry.
Nice
Be
whistling.
happy.
So I
Wait till we
should
get.
mention, I hope most people know this already, but just in case anyone is new to Microsoft Flight Simulator, World Update 13 and indeed all the previous World Updates as well, they are free, so you don't need to pay anything for them, but you do need to go to the marketplace to get them. They're not installed automatically. So if you haven't already, make sure you go into the marketplace and it says buy. I use air quotes for that because you don't have to pay any money for them, but you have to add them to your account and then download all the world updates from the marketplace. It's not something that's installed for you by itself. So do make sure you do that to take advantage of all the new scenery. DNA says, now I have Don't Worry Be Happy and Jurassic Park Remix in my mind now.
That would be quite a different movie if Don't Worry Be Happy was on the soundtrack.
Right,
Yeah.
right. As there's a dinosaur on your tail, don't worry,
Yeah.
be happy. Yeah.
So, CD, any plans to add dinosaurs like raptor wildlife into Sim? Maybe on CD? Hawaii, perhaps?
Wow.
That's a very good question, Factual. We have not announced any plans to add dinosaurs as fauna in Microsoft Flight Simulator at this time. However, if you would like to see that,
Cannot confirm or deny.
you can go onto our website, onto the forums, and request that as a feature request.
Oh, there's a mod for that?
Apparently, there is already a mod for that.
Wow, amazing.
I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised. Why not?
I know there's a Godzilla mod. You can add Godzilla to both Tokyo Harbor and San Francisco Harbor. Flight Simulator.
So like Super Typhon has predicted, he said, I'm going to be firewalling it just to keep up with you guys. Because I think what did you mention earlier? Your plane, what both of you are flying, is probably 20 knots faster, something like that.
Something like that. So I'm my true airspeed right now is 121.
Oh, good, because I'm firewalling it.
And my
which
ground
is
speed
my handle, by the way.
Yeah. Well, you've changed. You're not run up anymore.
Not run up anymore. I've been doing run up ever since that first blooper. That first oversight, as we call it, right?
So according to my glass cockpit avionics, my ground speed at the moment is 119. As we know, ground speed is the important one for determining how quickly we get from A to B.
But I just know relatively, I just passed factual goal, and two other beavers are behind me, so that's like, whew,
Wow.
now I can slow it down because I'm probably overheating. No, my
Oh, yeah, I
cylinder head
see you.
temperatures are good. My
There's
cylinder
Porter
head
up
temperatures
my,
are good. 160 knots. I don't know if that's my true airspeed though. Probably only about 140 knots. All right, I'll pull it back.
Jetty TV !fly in the chat will give you a link to everything you need to know about today's flight plan, including the PLN file. And that'll have all the touch and goes. So I'm currently, if you think of the island of Tahiti as a clock, I'm currently kind of at the 3 o'clock, not quite 4 o'clock position as we make our way clockwise around the island, touring Tahiti. And wait for the Wakanda world updates. The flight has started. Make sure you're on Southeast Asia server and make sure you have all players mode enabled.
Yeah, actually, Jetty, any airport's a touch and go, and in fact, a lot of us have floats, so any body of water is a touch and go, as long as we think we can pull it off, right? By all means. And if you do a touch and go and the rest aren't doing it, just firewall it and catch back up again. Nice thing about going around the island right now, you guys, is that if you start late and you see a bunch of us ahead of you, just do a shortcut over the mountain, right? Just put the pedal to the metal, cut off that corner like joining up in a formation,
Gains in
and
altitude.
you'll be able to catch up with us here.
みんな船付きの
I've
飛
got
行
an
機でいいなぁ。
AM225 to my 12 o'clock.
No way.
That's a bold choice. Oh, and I've got a Grumman Goose as well. That's a great choice, actually.
Oh, that's a great choice. I was actually going to go for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a better choice for the long haul we're going to be doing over the ocean. Typically, is done with twin engine airplanes.
Yeah.
A
Actually,
lot of
I've got two Grumman geese, Drunken Day and Sublogic Kiwi, both flying geese.
Information.
Not in formation.
So when you fly multiple goose airplanes, can you still call them geese? Good question, right?
It is a good question.
You know, I mean, we just naturally say that because of the English language, but maybe we say they're two gooses. It just doesn't sound right, you know?
It doesn't sound right, does it? DNH is a V formation. Yeah, the geese should be in a flying V.
That's right. That's right. A flying V. I just saw a dark star on a very high alpha kind of flight.
That is most likely. I'll switch over to your point of view there. That is most likely Hex the Legend.
I just
who,
lost him. Yeah.
Flies the Dark Star on Community Flying every week.
He was actually, there he is, way back there now. So I'm actually going faster than him. I'm going 130 So he's really taking it slow. He's on a very high alpha kind of.
Yeah. Well, in the Dark Star, you'd have to be to cruise at 120, 130.
I mean, you really got to work it to make it go slow.
Yes, the flight has started. We started about half an hour ago. But if you want to get caught up, we're going to end up roughly where we started, because we're doing a tour of the island of Tahiti. We're actually just going to circumnavigate Tahiti in a clockwise fashion. And if you just want to spawn in at the airport, starting airport, we'll actually be back there not too long from now.
That's right. I think people could start an hour late and then still be on the same airport, right?
Yeah.
I think it's about an hour around the island, right? I think you planned that very well, CDL. Nice job.
If you can't see other players, did you make sure you're on the correct server, Southeast Asia? And then did you make sure you have all players mode set from your world options your flight options before you spawned in?
So Crazy Fruits, I really, you know, what you're saying there about you wish your dad was still alive to see how far MSFS has come. I have to agree. It still gets me how beautiful it is and how far we've come. I've been flying flight sims since 1982 when Bruce Hartwick first brought out the first flight simulator on something like a 386, if people know what that is. And so it still gets me how beautiful it can be. And this is why we're still doing flights on my channel too, because we're discovering, wow. And we get new people coming into the channel, this channel, and flying into the factories, and they look at the scenery and go, wow, what is this? And a lot of people don't realize what we're enjoying on a regular basis here on the Flight Sim. So I agree with your comment. There's a really nice comment, yeah.
If you ever look back at those very early versions of Microsoft Flight Simulator, where the ground didn't even have a texture on it. It was just a plain black square. That was the ground.
Or how about the two antenna on the Sears Tower? I think it's the Sears Tower in MiGs. You know, because it had the two little antenna, we said, "Oh, that's got to be the Sears Tower." You know, that's the only way we knew. You know,
I'm sure
So
you did this
realistic.
too, Porter.
So
How many
realistic.
times did you take
How
off
did
from
they do
Mixed
that?
Field and then try to thread the needle through those two radio antennas?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. So now you can add that back in for PC users, for PC flyers here in the sim. You can add MiGs back in. They have a standard free edition and they have a professional edition that you pay for. The professional edition opens up the terminal, beautiful inside, and it opens up a big hangar down by the other end. And then, of course, all the harbor looks great, the marina looks great, and the city, of course, you can put in the Chicago highlights. So a lot of us put that back into this sim just because we missed it from all those years of flying Flight Simulator with MiGs as a starting field.
Yeah, well, so you're not the only one who misses Mixed Field. The development team of Microsoft Flight Simulator also misses Mixed Field. And so we added it back officially for all players, PC and Xbox. That was part of the 40th anniversary edition that we released as a free update last fall. It added a few fan favorite airports, including Mixed Field, which is no longer used, Hong Kong Kai Tak, again no longer used in real life, and Princess Juliana Airport in the Dutch Antilles, which is still an operational airport, but that's a fan favorite airport as well, both for flight simmers and for real life aviation nerds who like to go to the Dutch Antilles, Princess Juliana. There's a beach right in front of the airport where it's one of the best places in the world to go plane spotting.
Now, on that same note, without trying to be negative, CDL, there's a lot of people who ended up in the local hospital there too, because they got gravel in their teeth.
Oh.
It does happen. You hold on to the
all
fence.
along the beach.
You hold onto the fence and you go horizontal and you get sand and sometimes rocks. So it's not always, you know, the right thing to do. I'm just checking my fuel here because my rear tank should be getting. Oh, I'm still good.
One of the things that impresses me so much with the scenery in MSFS, and it's so noticeable in French Polynesia here, is the water and just the atolls and the sunken sort of lands beneath the water, just the colors.
We
Really
haven't seen the full
incredible.
effect of that yet. We'll see it as we get more towards Bora Bora. Because I know for a fact when a lot of those huts that are on stilts, what's the proper name for that, you guys? You know, all those Tahiti, are they called
So
Tahiti huts?
I call them floating cabanas. I don't know.
Okay, floating cabanas.
I don't know
Well,
what
they're
the
not
proper
floating
name
though. I
is.
think they're on stilts, a lot of them, right? Because the water levels go up and down. I don't know. I'm not the expert on it, but my point is when we flew over there, I mean, I've done a couple of recent flights just to see where we're going, and holy moly, it really looks real. Like you're saying, Factual Gall, about how shallow it is, where they do their snorkeling, and they go see all the, you know, the tropical fish. In real life, it looks, all they're missing is the tropical fish. I mean, it's so real, just sitting outside the hut. So we'll see that at the end. There's certainly water effects here that are nice, but when we get to Bora Bora at the end of this flight, man, take a look at that water when we get there, you guys.
By the way, I want to address Mr. Posh Martin in chat. Says, good evening, everyone. I have recently ventured into the world of Microsoft Flight Simulator, and I love it. I find it incredibly relaxing, and the graphics are superb. Well, really, really pleased to hear that, Mr. Posh Martin. Glad you're enjoying Flight Simulator. This is our weekly Community Fly-In Friday. We do this every week, same time, same place. Different destination, though. Today we are in French Polynesia in the South Pacific. Take advantage of some new scenery that was released in the free World Update 13 release from earlier this week. Next week, we're going to be somewhere completely different. The week after that, we'll be somewhere completely different. We always mix it up, go to different countries, different regions, different parts of the world. We have different guests joining us on the panel, so it is always something new.
As for the
Go ahead, Factual.
oh no, I was going to take us back to an earlier conversation. So if you
Oh, okay, and I just wanted to say, I'm sure our regular viewers who join us week after week, they'll tell you no matter where in the world we go, it's always a very fun, relaxing, informative, and entertaining group flight. I don't think we've ever had a bad destination.
Absolutely. I agree with that too. Same with on my channel on Saturdays. The world is our oyster. We can go anywhere, and we usually just ask them, as you guys have done too, where do you want to go? And it seems to end up being a theme on my stream that, you know, where do we go from here? And it's just pick one and let's go, and we discover something new. It's actually because a lot of us can't get there in real life. We can't go to some of these places, and to go and see them in simulator and see how realistic and beautiful it is, just awesome. That's why we love it.
Ooh,
Such a
stand by,
great-
folks. Squawk 7500. We've just got a raid hijacking by Viper Strike. Welcome in, Viper
Viper
Strike
Strike.
and Raiders. We are in
Welcome.
French Polynesia today, currently flying around the island of Tahiti to celebrate the release of World Update 13, and we'll be en route to Bora Bora in a few moments here from Tahiti.
Now that I see my top speed of this thing, I'm going to pull it back a bit for the island, and then firewall it when we get to the ocean, because then I'll have to keep up with you guys before you guys firewall.
Well, once again, my ground speed currently is 125. I haven't changed my throttle setting. I must have got a bit of a tailwind as I came around the island. I was 119 earlier.
So I think, was it Viper
Whoa,
Strike?
hang
that
on,
brought the
folks.
raid? Okay.
Speaking of a raid, one
Raid.
sec. I gotta add this to our stream. Stand by 1 second. Forder and Factual, why don't you keep chat entertained while I do some tech setup here?
Sure. I was just going to comment on Forder's earlier phrasing that the world Tahitian pearls are
Big. That's a big export of theirs,
a
right?
big export of
Yeah.
theirs. Often if you see black pearls, like instead of white pearls, really dark colors, those are often from Tahiti. So yeah, so great
Wow.
choice of words there, Forder.
That wasn't planned. I mean, I did. Now that you mentioned, I did remember that that is one of their exports. You know, it's a big thing that they export, and I think, you know, when we get closer to the war, I think it's something. I think that is 70 to 80%. 70 to 80%, and I think that that type of souvenir would be priceless for them. You know, get that. You know, some type of, you know, like we were just talking about oysters and pearls, right? And the pearl divers that are there, it would be cool to see that. Sooner or later, it'll happen in the sim because we've seen this before. Like at Victoria Falls, we have the bungee jumper coming off the bridge. We can have that in the sim now, right? Can you just imagine seeing some pearl divers now get it? Or that would be awesome.
Do
All
we
right.
have someone on
Some of you may have
location
noticed
in
we have a new
Oceania?
visitor on the channel. Currently muted. But are you able to unmute yourself, or is that on my end? Hello,
Wow.
we can hear you.
Wow, look who's here.
Chat, can you hear Jane?
Hi, Jane. Are you in
I
Oceania?
can see and hear you.
Shall we drop down and pick you up?
It's been going great. We're here flying over Tahiti at the moment. We're about to make a northwesterly turn heading towards Bora Bora. Everyone in chat misses you. They're all saying, I don't know if you can read the chat, but they're all saying hello, hi Jane, hi Jane. Yeah.
It's an honor. It's also a pleasure, for sure. Good to see you again, Jane.
Hey, Tom!
There he is.
Showing up
That's
late
why
as
he can't
always.
be on the stream.
Factual talking
Now we know.
trash. Saying
Good
that
to see your
Sim Tom was
face.
always late for the stream.
No way.
Peter, there he is, a familiar voice. Yeah, we miss you. We miss you.
Oh, wow! Wally!
Oh, wow. The legend. The legend. Absolutely.
あ、出発空港ですかね。あ、うん。
I see that scooter. So I see those scooters look familiar. Are you in Paris? Where are you?
なんだろう。これ買っ
Paris
たや
has
つ
a
か
lot
な
of those scooters. Oh,
It's geoguesser time.
let's let chat figure that one out. Where are they?
Jane Kusi has successfully guessed, says, greetings from Cologne.
That's not fair. That's great to see the three of you.
All
That's
right, well-
awesome. Four of you, yes. Yeah.
Hello
let
to
me-
Jane, Peter, Simtom, and Wambi,
And Wambi, yeah.
joining us on location
Yeah.
in Cologne, Germany.
Wow. That is awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
Peter,
Peter,
I'll have you know, Forder has been picking up the slack for you. He's got a button set up to do the rim shot sound effect, and he's been
I'm your
on point with it.
fill-in. I'm your fill-in. I'll do the rim shot.
No, and I was just gonna talk about my drink. Should I talk about my drink?
Just to say it again. Can I push the button now, Peter? Can I push the button? Yes. Yeah.
You're gonna come on the road with me here.
All right.
Oh my
Bye,
gosh.
Jane, Peter, Tom,
Oh my
and
gosh, that was a great
Wambi.
appearance.
So nice to have them join us.
Wow, what a legendary crew all in one place. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
And the sim looks so convincing in their background.
It
Oh,
does.
the scenery is so
Cologne
good.
It looks
and
so
MSFS,
real.
Yeah.
It looks so real.
Just like they're there.
That was a great appearance.
I was not expecting that, by the way. I knew that Jane, Tom, and Peter were getting together today, and I knew Jane was in Cologne. I didn't know Wambi was going to be there, so that was a surprise.
Yeah, that was a
cool.
surprise. Yeah.
But I had no idea that they were planning to make a surprise guest appearance on our streams. That was really fun. I'm glad they were able to show up.
That was great that you could pull them in, CDL. That was great. Yeah, now we got requests coming in chat. Now come to Amber.
Well, we are going to Houston, the Flight Simulator team, in June. Factual and Forder, you were also both going to Houston in June.
You betcha.
Yes.
I've been very fortunate, CDL, that we did a fundraiser just to get me to Houston, and my community has donated enough for me to cover my airfare and my hotel. So, Flight Sim Association asked me to speak there, so I'll be doing a speak at that conference. And now I have my community who is sending me, so that is actually a very warm feeling. It's pretty cool.
By the way, we're coming up to the island of Moria. I hope I pronounced that correctly. This is the first touch and go. You can see on my point of view there. There's the runway. I'm not going to do a land landing, though. I'm going to land parallel to this runway on the water. Take advantage of my float planes.
Is there going to be any smoke? There was an intentional pause there. I knew both of you knew what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Both
I
of
mean,
you
I
have
got
a
it,
musical
but-
background, yeah.
Andrew said
Okay,
I knew
I'll
Wambi
stop
was going to
doing
be able
that.
to
I
change.
promise.
Oh, very good. I actually did not know that. I knew Peter and Tom were, but I didn't know Wambi was.
So there was a question earlier in chat, much earlier in fact, about whether it's more difficult to land on water, on floats, or on a runway.
Well,
And I will put
factual,
that question to
how many
both of you.
water landings have you done in Microsoft Flight Simulator?
I did one about 10 minutes before this stream.
There we go.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Okay,
Just
so
one.
based on your experience, what would
Based
you
on my
say?
experience.
Yeah, based on your experience, well, how was it?
Based
How
on
was
my
that?
experience, it was fine. It was a little bumpy. I had to remember to keep my gear up.
You're up for water landing, right?
You're up for water
Yep.
landing, and it tells me. And also,
By the way,
of course,
sorry,
yeah.
got to interrupt you just for 1 second. Factual on very short, just about to touch down. I'm gonna start my flare. Yeah, there's the touchdown. As you can see, it's a little bit bumpy when you first touch down, but that was a nice smooth landing on the water. And I'm gonna put full throttle in and take off and get back on the flight plan.
Nice.
Well, I think, factual, I think, with water landings, and we did lessons on this on my stream, but when you do a water landing in real life, and I've done a lot of water landings in real life and been a passenger in beavers and other things too, and when we come in for landing, if you've got glassy water, it's the most dangerous kind of landing, and you
Really?
can't land at night either. So unless there is, in rare occasions, they'll put floating lights on the water where they want you to land, but that's still rare. You don't land at night because it's pitch black. You can't tell the distance to the water. And then
Right.
same with glassy water is. I've told this story before, and those on my stream understand the story. But one time I was in a beaver. The beaver pilot took a rock into the plane when we took off, and we went to a hunter's camp with a couple of drums of oil in the back of the beaver. And when he did his low pass first to see if there's any logs or anything in the water, he also dropped the rock out the window into the water. And then when we we turned back around and came in for the final landing, then we could see where the ripples were on the water, and that way we could land. We could figure out how far down to go before we actually hit that water, because it could be hard, right? So
Yeah.
water landings do take more skill, and in fact there is a type rating for floats that you would take with an instructor. it could be only 10 hours, but you'd get your float rating because you need to know more about these types of things when you're landing on water as opposed to the land.
Yeah,
Makes
I am
sense,
not
yeah.
float rated. My pilot's license is very specific in the language it uses. It says I'm qualified. I have this memorized. I'm qualified to fly, quote, all single-engine, non-high performance, land-based, heavier than air airplanes. That's the exact wording of my pilot's license.
That's exact wording on mine too, yeah. Yeah, we've got the same. And it is an extra rating. And in Canada, even the night rating is an extra rating that you can get, say, for those who have, say, their recreational license. Take a look at, if you can come to my screen, take a look at the green, the aqua kind of water. That's what I'm talking about. We're going to see more of that when we get to Bora Bora, but there's some of it right there. That's snorkeling material right there, you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tons of tropical fish, and it's
I'm just going to head over to
gorgeous
my
for
screen just for 1
photography.
second because I'm about to leave this behind. But look at this beautiful view down this sort of inlet with the mountains in the background in Maria. That is beautiful looking as well. I mean, I said that Polynesia is like paradise, and boy, are we ever seeing that on this fly-in. Right, back to you,
Interesting that
Porter.
the depth of the inlet looks to be deeper than actually the kind of the beach area.
Right.
Oh, there's
it
Porter
does look
flying
water
past,
in
flying
the
past the same
island,
inlet. Looks like we're in the same
yeah.
spot.
Is that Lonely Mountain? No, that's not Lonely Mountain. Never mind. My stream taught me about Lonely Mountain. I didn't know what it was at the time when we
なんか
actually
ツイ
flew
ッ
to
ター
it
で
in
こういうの
real
写
life.
真が
I
結
mean,
構
in
流
Sim,
れてくる
in
な
the Sim we went to Lonely Mountain in
す
Sim,
げえ
right? And they were all saying Lonely Mountain. I wonder if the red door's around. I had no idea because I hadn't read The Hobbit. I hadn't seen the movies, right? Because of my career at the time. So then, now that I'm retired, I've taken the time to go read the book inside out, and I can now understand what they're talking about when they say these things, right?
Yeah.
But every
So,
time I
of
see a
course,
mountain by itself, I think it's the Lonely Mountains. That's where that comes from.
The last world update prior to this one was World Update 12 New Zealand, and I'm sure many people who are fans of Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, the movie series,
す
both of
げえ
those,
いいとこ
are
だ
well aware that the
海に
director
帰り
actually
て
chose his home country of New Zealand as the shooting location for those films. And one of the POIs we added by popular fan request in the New Zealand World Update was the Hobbiton shooting location, the movie set where they shot the Shire sequences in both The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, which is now preserved. Usually
い
when
い
the
ね
production
やっぱ
comes
水上
through,
飛
they
行
tear down all
機
the
に
sets and they're finished.
したかったな
Store them in a warehouse somewhere or something, but they actually preserved the Hobbiton set in New Zealand, and it's now a tourist attraction where you can go to the Prancing Pony and order a ale, pint of
お
ale.
ー気持ちよさそうじゃな
You go have 11sies?
Have 11sies, second breakfast,
Yeah.
afternoon tea.
For those flying the Beaver, rear tank first for center of gravity reasons, and it should be pretty much depleted by now, so I just changed over to my center tank. For those who are flying the Beaver, you might want to think about that.
All right, the next leg of our flight, as we leave from the island of Moria, we're heading towards Bora Bora, but I'm just going to show you on my screen for a second. If I zoom in here, you can see we've actually got a little bit of over-water flying to get us to our next touch and go. You can see we've got an airport there on the map. So we're going to be flying over water for a while, and I thought this might be a nice segue to talk about Polynesian navigation. As we all know, as pilots, as sim pilots, aviators, we all know how important navigation is in aviation.
大ヤシの
It's
木じゃ
also, Porter, you're a sailor as well as a pilot. It's also, of course, extremely important in marine navigation. And arguably, the greatest navigators who ever lived in history were the ancient Polynesian people. They could navigate across the sea over vast distances with no landmass in sight, and they did it without a compass or a map. I think this is absolutely incredible. The navigation techniques they used. So I'm going to show you what's called the Polynesian Triangle. I'm going to show you an image of this, just to show you sort of like the size of the terrain we're talking about here. So there's on my screen now. So here's New Zealand in the lower left. Here's Hawaii. It's sort of top center.
海の
And
し
then
ばらく
here
海
in the
の
lower
です
right,
ね
this is Easter Island. So it is literally thousands of nautical miles from New Zealand to Hawaii to Easter Island. And the ancient Polynesian people, using canoes, like wooden canoes, were able to navigate and traverse vast distances across the sea using their navigation methods. And I think that's absolutely incredible. They have a few different ways of doing this. Again, no map, no compass, certainly no GPS, like we have flying to the general line. They didn't have any of that. So they used celestial navigation. So they navigated by the stars. That was one of the techniques they used. Some of the other techniques they had was they looked at the patterns of the waves and the swells. And closer to land, the wave patterns would change in size and shape. And so that was one of the techniques. They got very familiar with how the waves would work. And they actually were able to navigate using that as one of their indicators of where land masses might be located. Another thing they did is look for migrating birds, or just birds circling. Of course, there are a lot of marine birds that hunt for fish over the sea, but they don't live on the sea. Birds are despite spending a lot of their life in the air and hunting for food from the water or swimming on top of the water, birds live on the land and they nest on the land. And so if there are birds that you can see circling from your Polynesian canoe, that must be an indication that at least somewhere nearby there's a landmass where those birds would nest and have their home. And so again, they would chart the migration patterns and where they would see circling birds and so on. And using all these techniques together, the ancient Polynesian people were able to actually traverse literally thousands of nautical miles across the Pacific Ocean, from New Zealand all the way to Hawaii to Easter Island, in what's known as the Polynesian Triangle, in outrigger canoes. They did this thousands of years ago. Absolutely incredible feat of navigation. And as I said, I think probably the most skilled navigators to ever live in history.
And to think that what they're aiming for is a very tiny island in a really vast ocean. It's not like they could have hit any of a number of different islands.
Not
There's
by
not
chance.
That many out
It's like,
there. Yeah.
It wouldn't be anything like this canoe that I have on my, strapped to the floats on mine. No,
Well,
I guess that's a cedar strip probably. It's much like the one Andrew built. He built one of these things himself. And I see that Andrew's in chat now. He's my co-host on my stream, and it's great that he joined us today too. But he's actually built one of these things in his garage probably, and make your own. Who does that? There's some skill there.
It's good that you have that, Porter, because just in case you have an accident with your plane,
That's
you
it.
could still make it to Bora Bora.
But I need to borrow some navigation instruments that CDL was just talking about, because in the middle of an ocean on a canoe is like, I don't have a chance.
You need to bore us some navigation.
I need to Cora.
Thank you. Yeah. Craigery says, talking about Polynesian navigation, says this was all covered in detail in the documentary Moana. Well, I know we have some science fiction
Am I
fans.
supposed to hit a button on that?
Both in the panel on today's stream, and of course, I'm sure many of you in the chat are also fans of science fiction. There's a Star Trek episode that's loosely analogous and based on this. In the Deep Space Nine series, there was an episode where Commander Sisko and his teenage son Jay, they rebuild an ancient Bajoran spacecraft that navigates that flies through space by solar sail, just as a way of proving that I know what you're talking about.
You just have to wonder, CDL, what's going through her mind when those moments happen.
Well,
that
just
deserves
look
it.
to my screen just for a second. You mentioned
Utterly
Andrew.
fantastic.
Utterly fantastic.
Well,
Utterly.
here's Andrew's favorite plane. Off to my 9 o'clock. We've got a Spitfire in formation off my wing. You'll have to see it.
新しいな、あの見え方は。
And there's a Grumman Goose behind me to my 6 o'clock. There's a Beaver flying in very close formation with me. My 5 o'clock, and of course Hex the Legend in the dark. 6 o'clock back there.
So here I was worried about keeping up with your plane,
Ah,
but I'm way
これかっ
ahead.
こいい飛行機じゃない？
Yeah, I think you're probably
No
actually
farewell
faster
for
than
me.
us.
Yeah.
My ground speed
I can
currently
go
is
ahead and order
120
drinks.
knots. Yeah.
Sorry. A fine plane right here. If you can see on my screen, see, look at
Okay,
that.
going back over to your point
The
of view.
goose again. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
we say it a couple of times, but with the radial engines, you know, instead of the turboprops, and it's like, oh my gosh, that's a beautiful plane.
I love the paint job on that.
If anyone remembers the Disney animated television series from I think the early 90s, Tailspin, the plane that they flew in Tailspin was based on the Grumman Goose.
That's funny. The tail number on it is goose. Okay then. I wonder what kind of plane that is. Pretty well.
Well, factual again, because we are flying over water for, let's see, my GPS is saying it's going to be 30 minutes until we get to the next waypoint, and so we see land again.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm going to
no.
put you on the spot, Factual. You get to be
Okay.
today's lucky contestant on name all the countries where our viewers in chat are from.
Yay!
So chats, post in the chat where you're watching today's stream from. Again, we have an all-Canadian panel joining us.
Gibraltar, Cambridge, Chile, Fife, Scotland, Hungary, Spain, Germany, Norway, Canada, UK. Oh my gosh, they're going by so fast.
Gotta speak faster,
London,
Factual.
Germany, Madrid, Spain, Chicago, UK, Denmark, US, Brazil, Germany, Netherlands, New Zealand, Preston, Canada, Hamland, UK, Germany, Nova Scotia, San Jose, France, Sweden, Hawaii, US, Denmark, United States, thanks Zombie Pig, they're making it hard, Sweden, France, Scotland,
すげえ穏やかな天気ですね、現地は。まあライブウェザーがどのくらい効いているのかわかんないですけど。
Northern Ireland, Perth, Ohio, Italy, Hungary, Houston, Switzerland, Canada, Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, Scotland, Denmark, Germany, Annapolis Valley, wow, Nova Scotia, Wayne Eichel, Van Eichel, Jane QC, where is that? I'm not sure where you're from. I think it's Germany, possibly. Ohio, India, wow, that's the first time I've said that today. Germany, Wales, Bedford, Nova Scotia, Sweden, Germany, France, Boston. This is like that song from Animaniacs. It is. Oh, Shadow Wolf, Alberta. Me too. Actually, Milwaukee, Michigan. Phoenix,
CDL, do
Arizona.
you detect a stutter with Factual? She keeps saying like
Germany,
Canada,
Germany,
Germany. Almost like a Top Gun movie, right? It's like switching to guns, switching to guns.
Yeah.
California, Blackpool, UK, Slovakia. I think. Oh, Estonia. I'm just looking for. Oh, Vancouver, soon to be Portugal. L. That's an interesting story. I think that's it. I may have missed a few Germanys or Canadas.
Well, we do have
Belarus. Wow.
we do have
UK
an
via
all-Canadian hosting panel today. Again, Jane, Simtom, Peter, and Wambi all made a brief guest appearance earlier. But on your screen right now, we've got 3 provinces, or actually more, depending on if you're counting past residences. We got almost every region of Canada represented. I'm originally from Atlantic Canada, but I've gone coast to coast. Currently live in the Vancouver area in British Columbia. Factual, originally from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, currently lives in Calgary, Alberta.
Hey, that's
And
time
Porter, representing the center of the universe, Toronto, Ontario.
I've heard that before. I don't know.
Now, Porter, are you from Toronto originally? I can't actually remember.
No,
I think
actually, I was an army brat, so my dad was a sergeant in the army. So I was born in Barrie, which is north of Toronto, but we traveled all over the place. So we've been in many different places along the way. But my high school years was in Trenton, Ontario, which is the high school and where I started working, as a kid. So and then I joined the service, and I traveled all around too. So I've been living in quite a few places in Canada, but mainly in Ontario. Yeah.
Well,
And Toronto was where I settled and married and raised children, all the rest of it.
Very interesting comment here, Porter. If you can just rotate your camera just a little bit. Warhamster says, I was in Vancouver last week and it's been an hour watching the flights at Harbour Air. Well, we mentioned this, Warhamster, probably about 45 minutes ago on the channel. Porter is actually using the Harbour Air livery on his de Havilland Canada Beaver today. And we were mentioning that if anyone is ever in Vancouver, it's if you're an aviation geek, it's a very good time to go down to the waterfront and watch the Twin Otters and Beavers
There's a
take
whole
off.
gaggle. They all have the Harbour Air. Is it a gaggle? And they all have the Harbour Air logo on them. And this is what they look like, you guys. And the Twin Otters too are all labeled like this. And they're constant in it. So I like what Hammy does when he's there. It's exactly what I do. And I've been privileged enough to sometimes I have to work over at and so I fly into Vancouver and then take either a Beaver or a Twin Otter over to those places. And so I've had a lot. This is why I've had a lot of trips into Beaver, because that's a very common sight to be in one of these airplanes when you have to go over to the island or over from it. So it's beautiful stuff. I couldn't resist. I had to fly Harbour Air.
Yeah.
Beaver today.
Well, certainly it's a very appropriate themed flight to fly float planes, which a lot of us are doing. In fact, if we just switch over to my point of view a second, I've got a big formation behind me now of multiple X-Cubs, a Beaver, and a Goose. We did recommend amphibians or seaplanes for today's flight. Totally optional though.
So I slowed down so that I wouldn't be too far ahead, and now I can see I can speed up a little.
Oh, I see what just happened in the chat there, factual.
Oh, EV beavers. That's a good topic Andrew's mentioning there too, you guys. EV beavers. There's been a lot of conversions, and they're right out of not Vancouver. I think it's nearby one of the suburbs there. They are doing conversions to EV. Tons of them, and very successful with it too. I haven't flown in one, but I've certainly read about it. He's right.
And so, is that would that be a good plane to have an EV conversion because the flights are these small hops? Is that?
I don't know the range. I mean, I'm very interested in electric vehicles, of course, and
Yeah.
a lot of people who know me know that I'm studying this stuff, but I haven't studied EVs in the air, because you're right. It's the whole range anxiety that most people have when they're flying, when they're using anything that's got a battery. It's like, how far can we go before we have to? So maybe that is true. Actually, the short hops would certainly work well. How many short hops could they do? I think that's really
Especially as they're developing, heading to something.
Well, what's interesting about range with electric aircraft, before anyone
Mm,
knows,
good show.
some of our
だいぶ
chat,
長かったな、今の停止は。
aircraft range is determined with the assumption that your plane gets lighter the further it goes, because you're
Oh,
burning
yeah.
fuel. Of course, fuel has weight. The lighter your plane, the further it can go.
Batteries
so
don't.
Batteries don't. I mean, they do get very, very slightly lighter, but not really. A battery on takeoff with full charge is not going to weigh that much more than a battery on landing that's near empty.
And they're
So
all lithium ion now anyway, so it's not like our lead acid batteries that evaporate. You know? I want to point out, if you can move to my screen at some point, you notice off my wing,
正
I've
面に
got
なんか
one
島
of the
が
shadow
現れてきた。
display team planes flying in perfect formation on the wing of my Beaver, and you notice that he not only has his gear down, but he also has his air brake down. This little tiny thing just below underneath the belly of the plane. So this is Hammy, you guys. This is from the shadow display team. These guys know how to fly formation, and he's got everything out, as they say, dirty. That's what they call it when you put, your wheels out, maybe flaps too, and whatever he's got going there, just to get slow enough so he can stay on my wing. And he's rocking his wings. That's great. Thanks, Hammy. And so this is actually a very precise and a very good skill to learn. If you can do this and stay on someone's wing like that, no matter what plane they're flying, easy enough for me. I can just put it on autopilot and the others will follow. But when you're now on the wing, man, that's a lot of work. And we're going to have a workshop with the Shadow Display team coming up at the end of May with Steve Solo and the boys and Hammy and the rest of them. They're going to teach us how to do basic formation flying. So that'll be a lot of fun in that workshop.
All right, very
There's
good.
one of them
Once
right there
again,
showing how it's done.
Porter, I'm going to put a link to your Twitch channel in the chat there. If anyone would like to watch that tutorial session with the Shadow Display team on Porter's channel, there's the link. Go ahead, click that, and give Porter a follow. Check it out.
Yeah, thanks for the show. Yeah, these guys are awesome with this, and we've got a great relationship with them. If you remember CDL Factual Go, we did my group did the first air show on the MSFS official channel way back, and we were just using small planes. Andrew was flying Spitfire, and we were just doing that small air show that we did on just to get ready for that. A few segments in that air show, we had to have Steve Solo teach us how to do some of these basics in an air show. And so, now we're lucky enough to have them coming back and doing the same sort of things. So it's kind of awesome.
Also put a link to Factual's channel in the chat there as well. As she mentioned earlier, she's going to be streaming Hard Rain, was it? Heavy Rain, Factual?
Heavy rain.
Heavy Rain later today.
Yep.
So
Same thing,
maybe
right?
an hour or two after this stream ends.
Yeah.
And you're also streaming Flight Simulator this weekend, is that right?
Yes, on Sunday.
And where are you going?
一番先頭が隊長です。大隊長ですね。おはようございます。今日もありがとうございます。
My Caribbean tour, and we're going to start up another tour starting this Sunday. So drop me a follow, and you will find out where we will go. And also, I noticed in chat that there is a lot of mutual appreciation for Porter, Andrew, Bomber, Foxtrot. Everyone in the community is just so great.
We love each other. We're all here for the same reason, the love of
Speaking of the
aviation.
community, look at this huge formation I've got now formed up behind me. I got an extra, I've got 3 Grumman Goose, a Beaver, looks like a Cessna 172 behind that Float X-Cub. There's a Halo Pelican there. Pelican is actually very on brand as an amphibious bird. Looks like there is, oh, well, since it's an F-35, I don't actually own the F-35, so it's showing up as an Airbus A320 for me. And then another Cessna 172 way off in the distance. Love to see these large amounts of people flying in formation along with us. Now this is interesting. Captain Meowington's in a DC-3 is showing up as an airliner. I have the DC-3 installed. I wonder if you have a custom livery that I don't have. Maybe that's why it's not showing up.
That's probably why, because I've got the DC-3 too.
Yeah.
I'm just going to have a look now. Wow, and you realize how slow your drone camera is when you start traveling through long distances to see people.
Yeah.
It's like, ooh, gotta speed that up or slow it down.
Yeah. Hammond says the witch will be joining the herd soon. Yeah, so we had
witch.
live appearing on camera for the first time on this channel. The mod author, Wombi, creator of that witch add-on, made a guest appearance probably about half an hour ago. If you did miss it live, you can watch the VOD later. But Wombi, Jane, Peter, and Simtom all live by webcam on Jane's phone from Cologne, Germany. Made a surprise guest appearance. They're all meeting up in person right now.
Probably smells so good there.
Here's a nice overhead view here.
Oh, that is a nice
Oh,
shot.
that's really nice. Such a mixed bag of.
Yeah, it's amazing the variety we have in the air. We're all hanging out. That's great.
So on the topic of Polynesian navigation again, we're airborne. And at altitude, you of course get much longer visibility than you would at sea level. I can see Tahiti off in the distance, my 6 o'clock. I can't yet see Bora Bora up ahead to my 12. So I'm guessing that at sea level, these two islands are most definitely not in visual range of each other, even though they are relatively close together. So if you can imagine, even navigating between those two islands, by canoe, like the Polynesians did, is probably difficult. and they went probably 100 or 1,000 times that distance going to, from New Zealand to Hawaii to Easter Island, like Polynesian
あれ
Triangle. and
海
of
兵
course
隊ですね。
every little landmass in between in that area. I'm absolutely in awe of what the Polynesians were able to accomplish.
I think also credit has to be given to them for the fact that they use these small types of vessels to go ocean trips. And as many of us know, the oceans can become massive. The weather, I mean, even in the Great Lakes, as many of us have sailed or been before, the weather can get so nasty. Back then, these early navigators would be in these small vessels. They didn't have life jackets back then. I mean, they were just leaving.
Oh,
not
ごめんなさい。
knowing what's going to happen next. They didn't have the weather
ぶつかる。
prediction
や
tools
べ
we
え。
have today. So that's kind of
行
cool
くで。
when you think about what they did, how brave they had to be.
Well, and today as well, when you're preparing for like a 3-day or a 5-day canoe trip, and you're packing all your supplies and your food and your water and all of that, and like, how did they know how much they would have to take with them?
Right.
And then just go off into the sea, into the unknown with no. I mean, it's not unknown to them, of course, but I hope they reach land.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
that's
only have
it.
So many supplies.
Well, they took the rabbit's foot with them, It's like, good luck.
Yeah,
Now-
you would need it.
I'm just thinking the logistics of this. They could obviously catch fish. They must have been very skilled fishers. And they could catch fish en route for food. But you can't drink ocean water. So did they either bring large amounts of fresh water with them, or did they have some way to purify this salt water and make it drinkable?
Or maybe you get enough moisture from the fish.
Or I guess they could capture rainwater, maybe?
Maybe.
Oh, rainwater.
なんかすごい。
Yeah,
hope
that's
it's
got to
rain.
be it.
Go, go,
It's
go.
got to be
Yeah, that's
rain.
gotta be
Yeah.
rainwater.
But you're right, the moisture of the fish too, I guess. That's a good point. I mean, we're so lucky.
Yeah.
We find filtered water or we take it with us.
Yeah.
あ、
filtered
同じ飛行機も。
I mean, it's
maybe
the
maybe they fill up vessels at the local springs before they leave. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
We did
question.
test runs at Foxtrot. Have 2 days of food. Go out 1 day and then back. Not far enough. Next time 4 days of food.
Well,
Go out
maybe,
for 2
right?
days and back.
He's
And then
got a point, right?
extend it. Yeah. And see,
The-
like
the
when you're
only-
2 days out, is that outside of my?
うわやべえ。
Can I still get something?
Now, the only downside with that, though, is that weather conditions and ocean conditions could change from day to day, which would
Yeah.
impact how far you could go in a single day.
That's true. So how much rainwater you got last time might be different than this time, or how many fish you caught.
Or how many nautical miles you could traverse. If you've got a tailwind versus a headwind, or if the waves were stronger one day and they were pushing you in the opposite direction where you wanted to go.
And can you imagine today if they were looking up and seeing all of us fly over and going, oh, what are those? Silver birds.
Yeah.
Logistics, yeah. No kidding. We take so much for granted nowadays, right? Even camping, we say we're going to go rough it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Not really.
I've seen very elaborate. Here's a good example. When I first met my wife, when we first married, we went to Quebec City to look at the
あ
heritage of
背面
Quebec
飛行
City.
してる
Learn something from there. And we camped in a little campground just outside of Quebec City. First time my wife and I are camping together, right? And so what I didn't realize is that we had to have a campsite that has electricity. I said, why? We got everything we need. And she said, well, I need it for my hair dryer. And I thought she meant her hair. Back then she had the poofy kind of hair, And so I said, well, okay, being a new husband is like, okay, sure. So we get a campsite with electricity. Well, what I realized, it wasn't to fix her hair. I mean, we're roughing it. It's so that at night when it's cold, she can hook it up to the roof of the tent and let it stay on low all night, and it just kept going around in circles like this the whole time to keep the tent warm. It's like, okay then, this is great. We're roughing it. So there we go. I think it was the last time we camped together. So we just left that alone. Now we go camping on a boat, but that's real camping. Yeah, kind of funny. It was
Handy
cheap.
space heater.
It was handy. I mean, we didn't freeze.
Welcome to Airstead in the chat. Understood says he'll be joining shortly. Welcome in. So I am 12 minutes away from our next island. We'll do again another touch and go. I'm gonna land on the water again. Since my plane is equipped with floats.
Are you
Ooh, look at this! Look at
close?
this extra and this T6. Both sort of did a well. The extra did a full roll. The T6 rolled inverted, and it's currently flying upside down. Valley Simtex says I enjoy real camping at the Holiday Inn.
Really roughing it. Yeah.
So, Porter, that story about the hair dryer, to me, maybe I'm being overly safety conscious here. That sounds like it might be a fire hazard.
Well,
You got
that was my
something-
first
something
concern.
producing
You know,
heat in a tent.
being an ex-military guy at the time is, I mean, you don't, in a tent. So, okay, let's just watch it on low. I don't think I slept. You know, I mean, I was watching this thing go round and round, and making sure that it was safe. But yeah, it was fine.
By the way, I hope
And,
everyone is enjoying this impromptu aerobatics display by MX Makazi and Hayate 1944.
It's amazing. I'm captivated.
Based on those names, I'm wondering if they may know each other. They both, again, I'm not an expert on this, they both sound vaguely Japanese names, so possibly they're friends, they know each other from the Japanese flight sim community.
We're also just very well coordinated,
Yeah.
like two ballroom dancers that just.
Oh, yeah?
You know, it
know
has
the same
happened
steps.
before that we have had complete strangers do impromptu aerobatic displays live on the channel. Not prearranged, they didn't plan it, they didn't know each other, they just started doing it.
Cool.
It is.
Drive Prawn says, definitely enjoying the stream. Well, or sorry, Derived Prawn. Well, welcome in. Glad to have you here, and glad you're having a good time. As I said earlier, we do this every Friday, same time, same place, but a different location, different part of the world. Give you a hint for next week. Next Friday is May 5th. So, can anyone guess where we might be flying on May 5th for 25 Friday?
I see Factual's hand is up in the classroom. Where are we flying, Factual?
I would guess Mexico. Is it Mexico?
Cinco de Mayo?
Cinco de Mayo? Yes, of course, we're going to be flying in Mexico next week. Yes, for Cinco de Mayo. Yeah, so get your margaritas and nachos and tacos because we are flying to Mexico for Cinco de Mayo.
Or is it commemorating the tragedy of the Hellmans? The Hellmans shipment that
That spilled into the bay or
You know,
something?
Spilled into the ocean.
a lot of chat was guessing it was going to be Star Wars related. Because
Yeah,
of course,
Oh.
May the 4th
be with you,
is
right?
Star Wars Day.
It
And so,
is.
That's what I was
when you
thinking,
started
yeah.
that sentence saying, is it commemorating the tragedy? I thought you were about to say the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise. That's where I thought you were going with that.
Much punnier plays.
May the 4th be with you.
Ooh.
May the fourth be with you. フォースと共にあれ。
That's what I thought as soon as you said May 5th. I thought, you're off by one day.
The Great Mayonnaise Flood of 1892.
Oh yeah, that's it. That's it.
We went to Hellmans and back that day.
It was Hellman's. Yeah, that's good.
Oh, it's just accidental aerobatics.
Oh, that's cool.
They don't
We
know
don't
each
need
other.
See,
Aw.
That is so
there you
cool.
go. Yeah, it was like a monkey see, monkey do. It's like, oh, he can flip. Oh, I can flip too.
I
And it's
love
good.
that.
Why not? You know,
Yeah.
it's show and tell, really. It works.
Spontaneous friendships being formed through Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Absolutely.
Aw.
And that's a fun thing about FS Expo. We have no idea who a lot of people are who are in chat because we don't see their faces.
Right.
And then we show up at FS Expo, we could walk right past them in the lobby of the hotel, right? It's like, who are you?
So
Well,
please introduce yourself.
in chat, I was known as.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's like we're all going to be there incognito, right? It's like, who are you? It's gonna
We
be one
should-
of those moments, you know.
We should write our screen names on our name tags or something.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, that I think we should do that. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I know a lot of conventions, particularly for like online communities, will do that where they'll have like or whatever service will actually make you a custom badge that you can wear around as you walk around the convention that has like your username online, or if it's for like an online role playing game, it has like your character name.
難儀してますね、このキャップの人。こ
That's
れは難儀するでしょ、
I can
この
see
ス
that,
ピー
right?
ドじゃ。
Convention.
yeah. Hmm.
あ、でもかっこいいやつだ。
Maybe
デモっ
we
て
have
こと
two
はない
name
けど。
tags. I don't know. Your real name on one and your chat name on the other. I don't know. Because we're not gonna recognize people. Oh, you're that person.
お、かっこいい
Okay.
やつだ。
Yeah.
I'm just
NK。
admiring this Spitfire up here. A graceful bird in the air, but that's not what they said about it on the ground, right, CDL?
Yes, I
Put-
know
put
exactly
him
where
on
you're
the
going
spot.
with
Oh,
that.
put it-
Actually,
go on
I
the
think
side.
he knew where I was going with that. I won't say it. It's okay.
Yeah,
The secrets sound with us.
A very famous woman ferry pilot during the war. Of course, as I'm sure a lot of you know, they didn't send, the Royal Air Force did not send women into combat missions flying Spitfires, but many women pilots built up a lot of hours flying Spitfires as ferry pilots, where they would fly the planes from the factories to the air stations where they would then return over to the Royal Air Force.
落ちそうなんだな。
One of the most
What's
famous
the
of
sugite?
these ferry pilots. In fact, I believe it's the person, man or woman, who has the greatest number of hours flying the Spitfire ever. So the
Oh.
all-time most experienced. She had some very interesting times on the ground characteristics.
Ah.
That's right. Absolutely. We probably can't repeat it on channel, but it was not a graceful bird when it's on the ground. Yeah. That's a good interpretation. A lot of
Mikey
people didn't know
Rinko
that.
says, next time I have a Friday off work, I should try joining in on this.
Yeah.
It's a
Absolutely.
nice distraction.
Yeah.
It is a nice distraction. Come fly with us. Escape all your troubles. Leave your emotions at the door. We should have a bumper sticker, you guys.
Yeah, well, this is an open event, as we've said. It's open to everyone in the Microsoft Flight Simulator player community, whether you're on PC, Xbox Cloud Gaming. Doesn't matter your platform. Doesn't matter your skill level. Everyone is always welcome and encouraged to fly along with us. It's no pressure, very low key, relaxed, chill. We're not here to judge anyone's quality of flying, or if you think you're a beginner and you're worried about flying with other people because you're a little bit nervous about being not necessarily as skilled as some of the other sim pilots. Don't worry about that at all. It's very friendly and welcoming. We'd love to have more people flying with us. My boss, I had a doctor's appointment so I could be here. Valley Simtech, your secret is staying with us.
That's good.
We have a
All right, I've
doctor
got
on
land
board.
in sight. So should be approaching our next touch and go. This is not Bora Bora. This is one of the other
Touch and
Polynesian
go.
islands. I actually don't know the name of this island. Maybe someone in chat can let me know.
お、島がま
My
た
main
現れ
tank
て
is
き
empty. Oh boy. For those flying the Beaver, time to switch tanks again. Rear first, go to the other two after that. And I think we better refuel over here. Good thing that this island is here before we move on to Bora Bora. Because some of us
First time I got the stream on time. Well, welcome in. Glad you're able to join us live, and I hope you're flying along with us. And if not, I'm appreciative of you being here, and hoping you're enjoying watching the community on Flying Friday French Polynesia edition, as we're making our way from Tahiti to Bora Bora.
gonna be awesome.
All right, factual.
Yes.
I know you were working on your Polynesian pronunciation.
Oh dear.
Able to attempt a proper pronunciation.
Go for it.
Wahina?
That
Wahine.
sounds pretty good.
Wahine. Would it be an E on the end?
Wahina. It might be.
That was
If
easy.
anyone's good at like phonetic transliteration and can put it in the chat, please.
So, side
do.
question: Are we doing a touch and go here? We are, in fact. Again, as an amphib X-Cub float pilot today, I'm not going to shoot for the runway. Oh, there's Airstud flying Twin Otter to my 11 o'clock low. I'm not going to shoot for the runway, but I'm actually going to I'm going to land parallel to this beach to my 12 o'clock.
Yeah, there's a really nice lagoon here. That's where I'm going to land. In the lagoon near the airport. Yeah.
In the lagoon. Ooh. If I felt more confident in my flying skills to be able to actually land and then take off on floats, I might attempt a lagoon landing as well. But I'm going to land just parallel to this beach here.
Lagoon's the word.
脱力してる？
Skull Island, yes. We're not going to be here long, everybody, so, enjoy the view of land because it's going to be gone as we go on to the next leg.
All right, as I'm coming down, just going to get ready to flare here in a moment.
Wrong stuff says locals refer to the island as Huahine. I love this all. While the French, who don't pronounce the H sound, call it Huahine.
By the way, I love the
It
look
almost
of
sounds
the
Hawaiian,
wake
right?
of a float plane in flight sim after it makes a water landing.
You bet. That's the best.
All right, so
So
put full throttle in and get airborne again. Ooh, look at this. We have a Tomcat going full Jesus mode here, floating on the water. Look at that. That's an interesting sight.
Physics don't quite add up there. But I love the view from
I'm
the
just doing a
cockpit
side
window
slip.
of a float plane. Being
Doing a
that
side slip into the
Okay, switch over to Forder's screen. We can see his lagoon landing here.
Well, I just did a side slip to get down. More of a forward side slip, but combination. Here we go. We're down.
I've actually got you in sight, Forder, as you touch down. Here on my screen, there you are, just to my 9 o'clock low.
Oh,
See you getting airborne right now. Very nice takeoff there.
Wheels
Now,
are still
Porter, I
on.
don't know if you remember this, but you and I have a history of doing aquatic water landings in very tight spaces in Microsoft Flight Simulator.
You bet.
Do
I
you,
remember
do you
it so
recall
well.
this? It was a while
really do.
ago now.
I think it was it Lake Louise or it was somewhere in the interior of BC. And
Yeah,
I think
we
the lake.
took
I think
off
the lake was
from
like
Vancouver
7,000.
Harbor.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and we were all in Icon A5s, right?
that's right.
Back when we were first early streaming in this sim, and I think there was 4 of us, and we thought, wow, we got 4 of us together in a multiplayer. It was so cool.
Yeah.
It was exciting. It was like,
Yeah.
let's go explore, and it was so much fun. And we were comparing each other's water landings back in the day. So much fun. Look how far we've come. Right, we just fine-tune my airplane like that. Okay. Oh yeah,
Tour
in the
Magic
pond
says
at
fun to land
Central
the
Park.
Twin
yeah.
Otter in the pond at Central Park. Oh, that does sound fun.
Yeah.
I haven't tried that yet.
We did have a stream when the spruce goose first came out. We had 6 of them in the sky, and we came in over Central Park in Vancouver and landed in that harbor, and right beside the Canada Pavilion. It was unbelievable sight because obviously there's only one spruce goose in the world. And there was 6 of us in the sky, and we all landed there. It was so cool. We had to take a screen snap. Lots of fun. Memories.
Wait, that was 2.5 years ago now.
oh my gosh.
So, oh yeah, you mean the Icon flight that we did, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's a long time, isn't it? 2.5 years ago. Pretty cool. I'll just get back on track here.
Andreas, I think our usernames in Flight Simulator are basically the same names as you see on your screen. I'm CDL, and it has some random numbers after it, like CDL number 3205, I think is mine. Factual, you're like Factual
I'm
Gull,
1036.
Factual Gull 1036, and Porter, what's your? Oh, look at this! I've got Factual on site.
Yeah, I caught up. I skipped that last touch and go just so I could make it back to the group.
Yeah, so there you can see. Oh, look, I got Forder and Factual. So Forder is Forder 1702. You can see there, and then Factual is directly behind me. So all three of your panelists are kind of in a compact triangle right now.
Perfect. We planned it that way, right, Factual?
Oh, of course, yeah.
With a straight face.
Formation flying, my specialty.
Well, if you take a look at our navigation screen, I'm just looking over here with my Toby. That whole cluster of white airplanes over here on the right.
Yeah.
Wow, that's all of us. That's pretty tight. That's cool.
I'm also using a Tobii eye tracker, and I would say people often ask me, if they want to improve their flight sim experience by investing in some peripherals and some extra hardware to go along with the software, what should they buy? And I always do the same answer. Your first purchase should always be a really good set of flight controls. Sticker yoke, depending on your preference, throttle quadrant, and rudder pedals. That should be the number one thing you buy. And there's some various different good ones out there, depending on your preferences and your budget. There's good quality ones available for all price points. The second thing, in my opinion, that you should get after you have that is a Tobii eye tracker.
Oh,
What were you going to say, Factual?
I was gonna say any kind of head tracker. Oh yeah, a hat, yeah. A hat with goggles on it?
yeah.
I think that's compulsory,
That'll
yeah.
look the part.
That's right.
No, but
I-
I'm a GA pilot, so I look the part. But if I was flying airliners, then
Yeah, you get
professional.
stripes on your shoulders and stuff. Yeah.
But I would say, in that same topic, I agree completely. Those in that order, and that's the sort of things I'll be talking about at FS Expos. What hardware should you get? How much hardware do you really need? But I think the Tobii. I love the Tobii, and I've had the other head trackers. But in defense of those who want to get into flight simulation, they might not be able to get all that hardware and Tobii itself. They could start out with other head trackers, which others are still happy with. Track IR, I think, is up to number 5. There are some, like Andrew has one that he got from a different company. Some of them clip to your hat, some of them clip to your headset, and those work also. And so it doesn't have to be Tobii. Although we're loving Tobii because we can have it follow our eyes also. Even while I'm doing this, it's messing up my Tobii. But it's the Tobii one is one of the reasons we like it so much is if I look up at my compass, then it's following my eyes. Where the others are all following the head. So this is the next stage in head tracking because it's also eye tracking, and I think that's why a lot of us will like this, right? And just naturally looking left and right when you're coming in to do a circuit is very intuitive.
The other thing that I really like about the Tobii eye tracker in comparison to other head tracking systems is you don't need to wear anything on your body or clip anything to your head or a hat or anything like that. It's magic. It just knows where your head is, where your eyes are looking, where your head is tilted, and it can track your
Even
view
with
accordingly.
glasses, right? Even with
Yep.
glasses, which I thought was, the fact that the refraction through your glasses, even now you probably see some screens on my eyes, it's still following. It's like, wow, that's cool. And it's infrared and all the rest, but still, it's just, that's amazing. I thought glasses would mess it up.
There's also another head tracking tool. I believe it's called FaceTrack No IR, and it uses either a webcam or the camera on your mobile phone. And I can't remember, it's either freeware or it's very low cost software.
I think one person mentioned it was $5, right, with a webcam. Right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He said Hermit something
that's the
mentioned.
way to get into it as well.
What are both of your thoughts on VR?
Love it.
So
Love
I
it.
do have a
something,
VR
as
headset.
something quite different, but it again is.
So
sort of
I have
experience
a-
too.
I have a first generation Oculus Quest, Oculus Quest 1 for a VR headset. I think the resolution is too low for Microsoft Flight Simulator. It's not the sim's fault. It's the hardware. I think I got into VR a little bit too early. The hardware wasn't quite ready. I have heard from people who have the Oculus Quest 2 or the HP Reverb or the Valve Index. Some of those VR headsets that are a little bit higher end than the one I own. That the flight sim experience is phenomenal, and they said they would never go back to flying what they call pancake mode.
heard that
chat of
expression,
people
yeah.
who
Pancake
really swear
mode.
by VR.
What's pancake mode anyway? Just, I mean, I presume flap, like flapjacks or flat or.
Well,
what
so
does
I
that
mean like a flat screen, like just a
Oh,
regular
flat screen.
monitor.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me just say this, you guys. Those who have VR love VR. There's no doubt. Many, and we do this cockpit chatter thing every Thursday evening, and we talk about home hardware and all the rest. So the VR is excellent. It makes you feel more like you really are 3D and flying, and it can be scary. It can play with your emotions, and people love it. The drawback, and the reason people still have both yoke and throttle and VR, is because while you're in VR, there's no physical knobs or buttons to push, and that's a hard thing. It's harder to fly while you're trying to touch navigation instruments. So some will say, unless you know where it is in the dark, like I know if I could reach down right now and hit my throttle, then I can still reach it without looking at it. So that, I think there's that crossover between the hardware in your home cockpit and the VR headset itself. And some will do either, you know, they'll do it. Let's do VR for a while and then I'll set that down and do normal, you know. I think there's that conversation, and that'll end up being a big discussion when I get that headset. You know, to VR or not to VR, yeah. I don't know, what's your thoughts on that?
Again, I can't really speak from first-hand experience. I did try when Flight Sims first started supporting VR. I did hook up my Oculus Quest2 just to try it. It was very immersive. Like looking around, I thought, wow, this actually does really feel like I'm inside the plane. But again, I was limited by the hardware. I thought the resolution was too low. I couldn't read my instruments just because the numbers were blurry. So I haven't really gone back to it, and I haven't bought a new VR headset since. But I do know people who absolutely swear by VR, and they'll claim that once if you have the right hardware, and you do need, like, again, a high quality headset like the HP Reverb or the Valve Index or so on, and a beefy PC that can drive it, because you know, playing in VR is going to lower your frames at the same quality level compared to playing in again, pancake mode, to use the VR simmers.
Pancake mode. I'm not gonna forget.
You do need a beefy PC as well. So, you know, I've seen people that say that the experience to play Flight Simulator at the same frame rate and graphic settings as you would in 2D, the VR headset plus the PC to drive it is going to cost you between $2,000 and $3,000 more above and beyond what you would pay just for the hardware to run Flight Simulator in non-VR. And of course, if you're a non-VR player, there's also the Xbox option. You can get an Xbox Series S for $300, and you can start playing Flight Simulator.
Right.
There's no way you can get a PC capable of running Flight Simulator for that low cost.
Right.
So
That's exactly right, yeah. That's part of the topic at FS Expo is, I'll start out by saying you can get an Xbox and start from there. And we have some flyers on our channel who do fly Xbox with controllers.
Yep.
And they're doing just fine with it, they're loving it, right? And they're saying,
Yeah,
why
but-
are people buying PCs and all these big graphics cards? Because they want to go into higher end graphics and bigger screens.
ぶつかった。
But yeah, there's all those options for those who have serious hobbies or those who have casual hobbies. It's probably how you break it down. I think I'd consider the three of us on channel today. I think we consider ourselves serious hobbyists, right? Because we stream and we have
well,
decent
タッ
PCs.
チングか。
So I'd call us, we're serious about it.
well, you know,
We actually
I would
learned
go
the skill
so,
of flying too, right?
I would, at least in my case, Porter, I would go so far to call myself accurately, I am a professional flight simmer.
It's your job.
It's my
True.
job.
It's your
It's
job.
my
Yeah,
job.
that's
I
true,
get,
right?
I get
Yeah.
paid for this. So
Right.
I am quite literally a professional flight simmer. So
Yeah.
yeah, I do take this very seriously.
Now here's the question though. Would you say that to a flight attendant when the plane is going through turbulence? Don't worry, I'm a professional flight simulator. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I am
She,
also
she would hear
a-
the word simulator though, or he.
Yeah, yeah,
would hear
that's
the word
right.
simulator. Yes.
I am also a real-life licensed pilot, as is Forder, not an airline pilot. I would never board a commercial flight as a passenger and tell one of the members of
Never,
the flight
never.
crew or a flight attendant,
Because they just
just
laugh.
in case you need my help, I'm
Yeah.
seated in seat 17A and I'm a pilot. I would never do that.
Now, and apart from announcing it, in the old days, I don't know how long ago it was, probably before 9/11, they like to know if you're a pilot or not. You don't brag about sim, you just say you're a pilot. I mean, a lot of times I'll sit in the exit seat or I'll get the
あれ
exit
も
seat
初
at
め
a
て
time
見たん
because
じゃ
I
ないか
fly
な。
so much
買っ
and
た
I
や
have
つじゃ
lots
ない
of
かな、あ
planes.
れも。
And so I'd be in those exit seats, they'd come up to give you the briefing, and all we have to say is we're a pilot. They already know. We already do passenger briefings, even in small planes, you guys. Even in the planes that CDL and I fly in real life, the 172s or the Diamond aircraft, those small planes, we still got to do a PAX briefing. We still got to tell them, yeah, there's doors right there, you know, sort of like what Factual Gull does, even better. You know, the 2 exits are there, no smoking and all that stuff. We actually still have to do that briefing. So they like that on a commercial plane when they know that you're a pilot sitting in the exit seat. You can, without panic, open that exit door and help people get out and actually help the team. So I think that still does hold some weight if you're a real pilot. But I wouldn't be talking about anything simulator to real pilots or to flight attendants, because they will just kind of, okay, noted. They'll pretend they're writing it down, right?
Sorry, jump in here just really quickly. This airport below me, we did have a scheduled touch and go here. I'm going to skip this one. I'm just looking at the time. We've got about 10 minutes left on our scheduled flight. We might run a little bit over today because we do have a little bit of flying to get to Bora Bora, and I don't want to end the stream until we get there.
So you're saying firewall?
I'm saying firewall. Full throttle.
I heard my name. He's like, firewall.
Valley Simtech says, and so this is a military joke. This is very much a civilian.
It is true, right? That's true.
How do you know when there's a pilot don't know anything about it? Yeah, can confirm.
I think it's a good point with the simulator, though, too, is that you don't have to be a pilot, or you don't have to come into
True.
Microsoft Flight Simulator or X-Plane or other flight simulators with any training or knowledge. And like I would say, for me, it's a fun hobby, and I just wouldn't want people to be intimidated or feel like that's something that, like, in order to be a better simmer, or that you're not a real simmer unless you have some of that real life knowledge as well.
I agree with you, Factual. The fact that CDL and I can say that we're pilots in real life is an endorsement for the quality of the sim.
Yeah.
I think that's what should be taken. We already know the skill of flying. We've already flown solo. We already can rent planes, but here we are in the sim, and we love it. And I think it's an endorsement for the sim, not a method to intimidate, of course, right?
Right.
And I'd say the majority of simmers aren't pilots.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
Well,
that's a
we
good
wanna
thing that you're
encourage
mentioning,
people
so
to-
that people don't realize that you don't have to become a pilot in real life. That's a huge endeavor, financially, time-wise, and discipline. And you don't have to do that just to fly in the sim properly, right? That's probably a good
Exactly.
point.
Yeah, people can come and explore and have fun and learn some things about flying. Hopefully don't just come and crash the plane and laugh and all of that.
Yeah.
Like learn a few things, but that's open to everybody in a way that learning to fly in real life is not an option for everybody. So.
That's true, and as Palmer says, it's a privilege. But flying is a privilege. We could lose it any time, typically with our medical, or just during the pandemic. I didn't fly for 3 years in a real plane because they weren't renting planes, or it was just too dangerous, or whatever the reason. And so it is a privilege, you guys. And so the simulator has given us that fix, given us that freedom again, given us that feeling, and also keeping us up on our, thoughts about flying, getting our head back into the cockpit, that kind of thing. So a lot of pilots do use simulator. Millions of pilots do use simulators at home and professional simulators just to keep their head in the cockpit also. So it covers a wide variety. I would say it's like being a wedding DJ, where you have to play music for the toddlers and the tweens and the geriatrics. You've got to make sure they all walk away saying that was a great wedding party, that was a great dance. And being a professional DJ for years too, I understand that. You got to play what they want. But the sim is covering everything from very young children who come on our stream, our family-friendly stream. We have children, and then all the way up to, I think the oldest age I've seen as a simmer on our stream was 92 years old. And that whole range, every one of them have the common theme of they just want to fly at whatever basic level to whatever elaborate level, like complete IFR if they want, right? And I think that's the draw, is the fact that it enables all ages and all types to be able to enjoy this privilege that we do, CDL in real life.
So there's an interesting comment from Royal Tots in chat here that I want to spend a few moments talking about. It says, Royal Tots asks, what do you think is the biggest barrier for entry into simming? So I have my own thought on this. I'll turn this over to Forder and Fasher. You can provide your own answer after mine. So my opinion on this is I think it's the intimidation factor. Flight simulation, especially in Microsoft Flight Simulator, it's not like a lot of other games where you can just jump in and play a 10-minute tutorial and then start playing the game, and you increase your skill as you go along. I think because it does simulate real-life flying quite accurately. There's a very large learning curve. Now there is by the way, look at these floating cabana huts. As we get closer to Bora Bora, and look at this water mask. Look at the bright blue water there. And, oh man, that looks like such a cool place. I would love to go on vacation there. But I would say, for me, I would say the biggest barrier to entry is the intimidation factor. I think a lot of people want to try Flight Simulator. They're not sure how to get started. Now, in Microsoft Flight Simulator, there are the virtual flying instructions with CFI Jess at Sedona Airport. Factual, you're very familiar with those.
Yes, yeah.
And of
also
course,
the ones for airliners and for gliders and such as well. Yeah.
But we also have a great player community who are very willing to share their knowledge and their expertise. Everyone started somewhere. No one started out as a licensed real-life pilot who was an expert and knew everything there was about flying. Everyone started as a beginner, whether they were 12 years old or 92 years old. Everyone started somewhere, and so the community really gives back, and I love this about our player community. So you can go onto YouTube, you can go onto Twitch, you can go onto our forums, Discord, various other platforms, and you can find people who are willing to help you out and answer your questions and really help you get into the hobby of flight simming. Forder, you of course do this on your channel. You do a lot of educational content about aviation. Once again, I'll put a link to your Twitch channel in the chat. And Factual, so Forder, you're a licensed pilot. You've been a long-time simmer since 1982, Flight Sim 1.0. Factual, you're the very opposite scenario. You've never flown a flight simulator until this one.
Right.
And you also have a very welcoming community over on your Twitch channel, where people are sort of following your journey from a beginner simmer as you learn more about virtual flying and get more into it.
I do, and I think that's a really great feature of our flight sim community. But it also is something that it takes some confidence, and it takes some there is a bit of an intimidation factor of being new, of kind of putting yourself out there on stream and saying there's a lot that I don't know, and of that there's people in my chat that will help me when I don't know things, and that I don't have to be the expert about everything, because this could easily be a community that's very tightly, with tight gatekeeping to say, you're either legitimate or you're not, and so I think that that I've found people joining my stream, and even in chats like this one here that have been very welcoming, and I really appreciate that there's people who can come to Microsoft Flight Simulator or other flight sims from all different ages and backgrounds and income levels and situations in their life, and that we don't all have to play the same way or get the same thing out of the sim.
Yeah, great.
Well said,
Great.
yeah.
Again, for anyone who is new to flight simming and you want to increase your knowledge and learn how to do things more realistically, I think Forder and Factual both have great Twitch channels that you can follow. Forder, of course, a real-life licensed pilot, very knowledgeable, and does a lot of educational content. And Factual is someone who is going through the same journey that you other beginners out there are going through. She's learning herself, so do check both of them out, give their channels a follow, and watch them whenever they stream Microsoft Flight Sim.
No, thanks for saying that. We're doing what we love doing. A lot of us had careers, and then we set those aside, or we still have careers. We set those aside, and we go simming, or we go flying. And this part isn't hard. I mean, there's certain, when you're streamer, you have to get
まあ
things
マイ
online,
クロソ
but
フトフライ
it's
トシ
still
ミュレー
not
ター
like
の
the hard time type of job
オ
where
ープ
you
ニン
have
グ
to
画面に
grind
出て
out
く
for
る
8 or 10
ボラボラ
hours a
島
day.
ですね。
This is fun stuff.
ボ
This
ラ
is the
ボラリ
escape.
ゾート。
And this is, you know, it keeps us coming back and doing it again and again. And really, the community, if it wasn't there, we'd still go flying. But we get to share this. Actually, we get to actually have people come with us and go fly with us and chat with us, just like we're doing today. And that makes it all worth it because it's the common thread. We all love, you know, aviation in one form or another.
Well, you know, speaking of escapes,
あ、海に帰りてー。
we have escaped to paradise on Earth here in Bora Bora, as you can see on my screen right now. We have arrived. This is the atoll with the mountain in the center of Bora Bora. And you know, I wanted to sort of arrive here at sunset, so we get that beautiful sun setting over the Pacific Ocean.
す
Yeah, I
げ
just
'Maybe
need to
ー。
say-
time to earlier during the day. You can see just the color of the water here. There, look at that. Look at that beautiful blue water below us. Man, I would love to go swimming or snorkeling there right now. And then, of course, we are going to fly over several of these famous resorts with the floating cabanas. You'll see these dotted all around Bora Bora. Now, this is the quiz we mentioned earlier. We're gonna do this now. So these are luxury resort hotels with these boardwalks and private floating cabana huts. Anyone in chat, I looked this up a couple days ago. Anyone in chat at the Four Seasons Bora Bora, which we'll be flying over momentarily, but they're all roughly the same price. They're all generally more or less the same cost. How much is one night to get one of those floating private cabanas in Bora Bora in US dollars? One night. Anyone in chat want to guess how much that costs?
Hey,
Out of my
factual.
price range. Yes, also correct.
Factual,
About a
can you-
10K, 20K?
あ、こんなのあったかな。やっぱり今回のアップデートで綺麗になってんのか
Can you
な。
just hear everybody clicking their keyboards right now, going to Google?
もともとすんげえいいとこだったけど、ここ。
I see a lot of people, 600 is too low, 2,000 is too low, 3,000 is close. 3,000 is very close.
That's one night, right?
That's one night. I looked it up. Again, it may vary by time of year. I'm sure some of you are actually going on to the Four Seasons Bora Bora website right now. So on the busy season, it's probably more expensive. On the quiet season, it's probably less. But yeah, right now, if you wanted to stay at the Four Seasons Bora Bora in a floating cabana next week, it would cost you $3,300 US for one night.
Mamma mia.
Yeah.
You're gonna take out a
Now, I
mortgage.
would love to do it. I don't know if I can justify that price, though.
Yeah, exactly. You just have to know a friend who lives there, right?
めっちゃいいとこじゃん。
I just came down by float.
すげえ。
I came down by float plane right now. It just I just landed near one of those cabanas, as you call them.
Oh, okay. Let me switch over to your
Alright.
point of view.
And let's just look out the window.
めっちゃよくできとるやないの。
Sunlight, okay. Let's just turn here. Got my water rudders down, and I'm just going to coast by. Oh, look, they each have a dock, a rafting dock for swimming. That comes with it, or is that extra, CDO?
I think that comes. Some of them, depending on the resort, even have a private pool.
何山
floating dock
お
as
ま
well,
ぬ
and some of those are
お
for
てん
visible
お
to
て
the
ぬお手間の山
So when you book the place, they go, "Would you like a floating dock?" That'll be another $1,000. So
大キャラバンが通っていく。
not too close. I could hit those huts and fall over. Look at that. Isn't that wonderful? I see a sailboat back there too.
So I'm coming up. I'm just flying over the Intercontinental right now, and I think this might be one of the one that has private pools, or at least hot tubs. It looks like. There's the floating cabanas at the Intercontinental, and there's the main part of the resort that's on the atoll, and then next I think is the Four Seasons. No, it's the St. Regis would be next. This is the St. Regis up ahead, and then the Four Seasons is over. Where Magmutus is flying over the Four Seasons right now.
うおす
And then
げ
this
え
is。St. Regis here. Again, $3,300 US per night. But
Mamma mia.
as I fly over this, and then look, you got the mountain, the beautiful island, the water. I
Paradise.
think like bite the bullet and stay a night or two, or maybe get some friends together. So I think they have like room for 3 or 4 adults.
フランス領ですからね。フランスの人はあれか。パスポートなしで行けるのここは国内か。
Extra large ones. See that?
I
Stack
mean,
'em up.
spread the cost.
Spread the cost
Still
around.
not really affordable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then this is the Four Seasons below me now.
Also, how many people do you want to be sharing? For
Well, there's
something
that.
That's expensive?
They got to be good friends for life. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, wow. I'm gonna set myself up for landing. I'm gonna land adjacent. There's the airport, by the way, to my 12 o'clock. That's where our full
Oh.
stop landing would have been, if you're flying a land-based plane. I'm gonna turn around and land next to the Four Seasons in Bora Bora. So autopilot disabled, and I'll set myself up for landing. Factual, look at this. Factual's directly right in front of me. You see that?
She beat you to it. Way to go,
Yeah.
Factual. Good work.
I've made up my time and distance.
But this is what I mean, CDL. If you're not landing or focusing on your screen, take a look at mine. I'm just going to look a downward view from my airplane. This kind of water where you see the bottom of the ocean, or you see the bottom of the shallow water. That aqua is what draws a lot of people. They go out in a catamaran or a small sailboat, and they'll just jump off and go snorkeling, or some will go scuba diving. But it's shallow enough here that you can do snorkeling, and you can see right off of some of these cabanas on the right, off my right wing, that it would be easy for them to just jump right off their little swimming rafts and go snorkeling. And it's just, total relaxation. I agree with you with the whole paradise thing, right?
Yeah.
Definitely paradise.
If you weren't into swimming or diving, you could probably, I don't know if they have glass bottom boats, but
I would bet they do.
Yeah.
I would bet they do. Every time I've been scuba diving, wherever it is in the world, I've seen you look up and you see the glass bottom boats, and you just give them
Bora
you give
Bora
them the okay sign, and
Pearl
you throw some
Beach
bubbles
Resort.
up to them because it looks really cool when they hit the glass bottom boat.
All right, I'm making a 180-degree turn here so I can land next to the Four Seasons, Bora Bora, and pretend that I was actually staying there, getting out of my plane and going
Well,
into my
that's what it
cabana.
is. It's all about pretense, right? You just show up and act like you own the place. That's
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
Like we did, like my wife and I did in Vegas. We drove our bicycles up to the big resorts, and we drove up front. We were just going to go in and have a look. They took our bicycles and they immediately gave us a ticket for them, sort of like valet parking, because they don't want them out front. And then they said, go on in. And we went in and had a buffet, and we acted like, we belong there. And we thought, this is cool. Let's do this at another
Hey,
And so we did that all
Guy.
through Vegas. We just drove our bicycles up, and they took them out of the way so they don't want them cluttering the front. And you just walk in and have yourself some lunch. So I think that's what you need to do here.
Like live the high life, but not pay
Yeah,
for the-
yeah. Fly all the way here and then hope that method works. And I'm down on the water near the airport. I just want to go to one of these
上手
buildings
上手。
and say, hi, neighbor, and they'll think I'm a neighbor. That's it. That's the plan.
All right, I'm lining
Oh,
up
you
for,
got
I guess you could call this
the-
final, to try to land next to the Four Seasons Bora Bora. Now, of course, it's always hard to judge the landing on boat manufacturing. Correct? You don't have brakes when you're landing on water,
Right.
so I don't want to touch down too early or then too late. I'm just gonna try to time this perfectly.
Throw in some full flap there to help you with
Yeah,
braking.
there we go. Flaps are down. There's my landing targets. All right, I'm gonna cut my throttle to idle and just glide her in.
Who's doing that?
All right, there I've touched down. Now I'm below stall speed, so I'm actually going to pull hard back on the stick and generate even more drag with my elevator. That's another technique you can use.
Yep.
Don't do that when you're above stall speed, though, because it's counterproductive.
Realistic stall sounds. Yeah.
All right, here we are at the Four Seasons Bora Bora. Factual, are you down, or are you still flying?
I am down. Yes, I have touched down and am just.
Way to go.
Oh, look at this!
near one of these cabanas here.
If that's your second water landing, is it?
This is my second water landing.
Wow.
It went well.
Is that cool or what?
So I'm just kind of drifting a little bit now because it's
落ちる落ちる落ちる落ちる落ちるって。うわ、やった。
Eventually, remember the turn, right?
落ちた。
But if you want to have a look at my screen when you can, CDL, I'm going to show everyone how we can actually go up on the land. A lot of us know this from flying floats, but they may not know this from the sim. First thing, of course, is to get the gear down because, you know, you're going to be coming up on the land. So I'm just going to go up over here and just come right up on the land and park the plane on the
最後
land.
残念ながら
And
死
you
ん
can
でし
do
まい
that.
ましたが
I mean, in the early parts of the sim, you couldn't do that. You had to use the Y key and you had to slew up onto the land. So here I am, a little
な
bit
ん
of
か
power
若
to get
干
there.
セッティングが
I'm gonna go
重い
right
気
through
が
this
する
little
な。
loop
な
here
ん
and
でだろ
hopefully
う
the trees will let me in. And you give it a bit of a boost of power because you're hitting the land and your wheels have to take over. Wow, the elevation changed. Look at that. From the water to the land, it was
Yo.
about 100
なん
feet
かセッ
higher.
ティングが若干重い気がするけど
No kidding. I was just coming up onto the land and it
間
went
違って
jumped
ま
up
せん
100 feet
ね。
and then
重い
into
ね
the
っ
airport.
ていう
So I think the
ことな
airport
ん
is
だな。
custom.
もともとちょっと
That's probably what's happening there.
oh, so there's a differential there.
There's something
All
wrong.
right,
Well,
well-
so someone's
この
coming
空
behind
が
me.
ぼや
That's
ぼ
why
や
it's
す
saying
るのも
things.
なんか
Look out.
描画が忙しい時になるみたいですな。
Basically landed water taxiing next to the Four Seasons Bora Bora, and I think this is a great place to end our stream today. Welcome to paradise, everyone, and welcome to World Update 13 Oceania. Hope you enjoyed the new scenery in French Polynesia on our flight from Tahiti to Bora Bora today. Want to give a huge thank you to our two guest co-hosts, Factual Gull and Forder. Factual, any final words from you?
Just thank you so much for a beautiful flight here. A very nice view of this world update, and hope to see many of you on my channel or in the chat of Porter's channel too when I drop by his.
I just killed my engine, went full lean.
Also, my plane is still telling me gear up for water landing.
You can turn your avionics off.
Yeah.
All right, Forder, over to you for the last word.
Well, I'm up right in the water again, but I
まあ
noticed
クル
three
セン
other
を飛んで
people
った
came
ん
in
だ。
behind me, same thing. So be careful. Normally you can do that. I just want to say, you guys, I've done it in so many other places where we pull up onto the land and it's easy. Here, there's something going on between the airport and the water. So sorry about that. I was just going to show you a great demo of pulling up onto the land like we normally do with float planes. But I do want to say thank you for having me here, and it's just so much fun being here on the channel again, and just relaxing, chilling, and talking about all things aviation. It's a thrill, and I thank you, CDL and Factual Golf.
All right. Well, and chat, thank all of you for being there. Those of you who are flying along in our flight plan today, we're glad to have you in the air. And those of you who are just watching the channel, thanks for being here too. We've enjoyed your questions and your comments and your jokes. Factual, not to put you on the spot, do you have a dad joke to take us out?
Oh my gosh!
Not to put her on the spot, but I'll put you on the spot. Yeah.
No, but you always have one ready. You're like the dad joke ninja.
Well, Forder mentioned a while ago about sitting in the exit row of an
もう
airplane,
ごめんなさい。
you know, mentioning that he's a pilot and so he knows the evacuation.
おしゃれさんの色だ。
But I also happen to know that Forder has quite a large car and has lots of you know, has a lot of speed because he quite likes, you know, speed in aircraft and in cars.
Where's this going, CDL?
Where's this
And
going?
the car, of course, has a lot of knee room.
All right, we're ending it right there. We can't
Wow.
continue the stream after that. Goodbye, everyone. We have a developer live stream Wednesday, May 3rd. So check that out. Details are on the forums. So developer live stream Wednesday, May 3rd, and we'll be back here next week, same time, for Community Fly-In Friday, Cinco de Mayo edition in Mexico. So see you
Thanks,
then.
everybody.
Have a great week, everyone.
ありがとうございました。今日も楽しかったね。